Alright folks, today we're going to do a viewer's request. He sent me a request on how to change a transducer. So I'm going to go through how to change a transducer on a Graco and Titan as well. It's very simple. It's not terribly time consuming, but this process is going to work on the Graco 395 and up. Will not work on a 390. A 390 is different. It does not have a transducer, which is this item here inside of your filter manifold. It does not have a potentiometer. On the 390 you have a pressure control, which is different from the 395 and above, where you have a transducer and a potentiometer. The purpose of this is to control your pressure. The potentiometer sets the pressure. The computer then monitors your transducer. Your transducer measures the pressure that is being achieved in your filter manifold. You set the pressure with your potentiometer, and the computer says whatever your potentiometer is set at. Say you want 2,200 pounds of pressure, so your computer is looking for 2,200 pounds of pressure. Your transducer then measures your pressure inside of the machine as the pressure is being built. When the transducer shows 2,200 pounds of pressure, the computer reads 2,200, it stops the motor. Once the pressure drops again, the transducer sends a signal back to the computer. Hey, we've dropped below our set pressure, so turn back on. The motor begins to run. So that's how it works. The 390, all of this is in the pressure control knob. So that's slightly different in how to replace it, but it serves the same purpose. Okay, so again, this is a viewer request. If anybody has anything they would like to know how to do on any of the airless sprayers, Titan, Spray Tech, Graco, pretty much any of them out there, send me an email or a message, and I will try to come up with a machine that needs that particular part replaced or that repair done. Same thing with pressure washers. Work on pressure washers, so if you got a request on a pressure washer, feel free to send a request. A big variety of equipment is what I work on, but today we're going to focus on the transducer. Now before we get started, main thing is safety. Keep your safety glasses on, and any of your electrical components, make sure the machine is unplugged so that you don't get shocked. Nobody wants to go home smelling like burnt bacon. So once you've got all your safety set up, you can begin your process. So we're going to focus on the 390 and the 395 and the Graco, and then we'll switch over to the Titan. I've already removed the cover plate here to gain access to the wiring. So the transducer itself again is right here. It's this item here. This is the wire, and for some of you older guys, you may remember your landlines, when they plug in, the wire looks like this, and all you do is press the tab and pull out of that port right there. Once you've got it unplugged, you're ready to actually remove the transducer. You're going to take a 3/4 inch wrench, you're going to slide it on here, and you're going to loosen that item there. Now make sure your pressure is off so we don't have a leak here. The machine is unplugged again. So you'll take your 3/4 inch wrench, you'll loosen this item here, that collar will slide back. Now this is a Titan transducer that I'm going to show you here, but it looks very similar. They are not interchangeable. This is a Titan, but it's in just like this. You will unscrew the collar here, and once you've got it unscrewed, it should slide back. Now there's a rubber grommet here. This will slide out once you begin taking the transducer itself out. So when the collar comes back, you'll wiggle it and it'll pop right out of the filter housing here. There's a hole here and it may leak. It's not a big deal. Once you've got it out, pull the old one out. You're going to slide the new one in through this rubber grommet. You're going to feed it back in through the groove, slide it into the hole. Now at that point, you're going to have to force this collar up into the hole, tighten it by finger until you can't tighten it anymore. Once you've got it tight by finger, you're going to tighten it completely up with the wrench. You want it good and snug. Now when you take the old one off, this collar is going to be pushed all the way up over the gasket. There's two gaskets. The first one here you won't be able to see because it's going to be covered. The second one, when the collar is pushed all the way forward, if you look in the end, you'll see the white gasket. Make sure the white gasket comes out, because you don't want to put this in with two gaskets on the end, because it will not seal and it will leak. So when you take the old one out, look at it, make sure the gasket comes out with the old one, put the new one in, thread it in, get it good and tight, and you'll plug this item. You'll just stick it in the hole and it'll pop right back in, just like that. That's it. That's all it takes to replace the transducer on the Gracos. Now the reason the transducers go bad, there's two reasons. One, they're digital and eventually they will just break. You get a leak through the end, it goes inside of the barrel, and it basically corrodes and damages the transducer. The main cause the transducer goes bad is people allow the machine to freeze. When the water material inside of the filter housing freezes, it will crush the end of the sensor. It'll push it in and crush it. So then your machine's not going to work properly. Most of the time your machine, when you turn it on, you get nothing happening at the motor. The motor will not operate no matter where you set the potentiometer. The next thing that may occur is that the machine will build an excessive amount of pressure till it starts leaking out of the prime valve or it ruptures a hose. Occasionally you'll get very erratic pressure. Pressure's high, pressure's low. Pressure is good, and then it takes a long time for the machine to kick back on, and it'll kick back on. Now inside of most of the boards there's an LED, and the LED, when you turn the machine on, the machine's not working properly, the LED will flash. It'll give you a code. Count the number of flashes, look in your owner's manual, and the flashing of the LED will tell you what is wrong with your machine. Okay? Then your troubleshooting starts there. So once you've got your transducer plugged back in, replace your cover, you're good to go. Set the machine up to spray. Now we're going to switch over here to the Titan. The Titan requires a few more tools than the Graco. So you got your block right here. This is your pump itself. Okay, that's your pump, and it's bolted on through these holes right here, right to the bottom of the machine. You'll remove the two bolts, and you have to pry down on the block to get it down. Once you get it down, your transducer is right there. There's your transducer. Now it's going to come down, and you may have to stick your finger up inside of the hole, up in here, to knock the jumper loose, because it'll catch on the corners, knock it loose, and you'll be able to pull it down. If you can't, take the screws out of the cover plate here, pull this off, and you can push this down through the hole inside, and that'll expose it. Take your transducer loose. Again, just like on the Graco, you're going to take a 3/4 inch wrench, and you're going to remove the transducer, same fashion. Whoops. You're going to loosen it up, pull it out, slide the new one in, make sure the gasket comes out with it, so when you look in the end you'll see the white one. Slide the new one in, tighten it up by hand first, don't cross thread it, tighten it up. Once you've got it as tight as you can get it, then put the wrench on it, tighten it back up good and tight. You're going to plug your transducer back into the jumper. Once you've got it back into the jumper, you're going to reinstall your block back to your sprayer. You're going to line your T up on your piston. Everything should stay lined up. You're going to slide it back in. You're going to push up on the block, put your two bolts back in. You're going to need an Allen wrench to put them back in. Tighten it back up. Once you tighten it back up, that's pretty much it. The only real difference in the Graco and the Titan is the required tool here to remove the bolts for the block, which is an Allen wrench. Other than that, there's virtually no other tools that are required to do this. Same situation on the Titan. The reason the transducer goes bad is just with age, or it has frozen. Now this process will work on the Titan 440, not the 400. It will work on the Titan 640 as well, because they're basically the same machine. Now the Titan, anything above the 640, it's very similar process to the Graco. They have the exterior manifold filter. You will see the transducer typically comes in on the back side on the 740, 840, 1040, 1140 and up. There's a transducer on the back side, but instead of the short wire like you have on the 440, you've got a much longer wire. The wire goes in through the casing of the motor to the back side. When you pull the casing off of the Titan, you'll see where the plug goes into the board. You'll unplug it, you'll feed it back out, unscrew it just like you've been doing. You'll screw the new transducer in, you'll feed your wire back through to the other side and plug it back in. It's very simple. It's not a complicated task at all. If you know how to use a sprayer, you're going to be pretty capable of replacing the transducer. If you don't have a 3/4 inch wrench or an adjustable wrench, then you don't need to be replacing parts on your sprayer in the first place. The process, once completed, should eliminate any of the problems that you had where you have erratic pressure, or the motor itself is not turning on, or your pressure takes a long period of time for the motor to stroke back to build that pressure. Again, if anybody's got any suggestions or requests on a repair, send me a message. I will try to get on it as quick as I can. I usually have a pretty good supply of broken equipment here that I can locate what needs to be done for pretty much anything you have a request on. Till then, be safe, use all your safety equipment, and please hit the like button. You guys have a good day.